Hey, what is up guys? Genius Jester here, and this is the 4th episode on my YouTube channel. Okay, so we went over the tanks, we went over the damage dealers, and what the what category they were and how the categories counted one another. So today I'm just going to quickly go over the supports, and then we're going to get straight into why the categories are set up the way they are. Because too many people don't understand this. Okay. So I don't know if you remember, but last episode we had our... start with the super rush ones. Our 3 offensive rush heroes, Reaper, Sombra, and Tracer, countering our 6, I thought, defensive hit scan, but there was actually 7. I did miss one. I rechecked the video last night. So Ash, Bastion, McCree, Soldier, Widow, and Sojourn were the 6 hit scan. Sojourn when she's a charged railgun. But I completely looked over Symmetra. So obviously Symmetra does fire projectiles, so she's sort of 50-50, just like Sojourn is, but her main source of fire is this. It's her main source of damage. This is just to do a little bit of extra damage before they close the distance, and this is her main source. She's also 50-50 like Sojourn, so she's half projectile, half hit scan, but I'd consider her primarily hit scan as well. These teleporters are misunderstood. A lot of people think the teleporter is like Reaper's teleport, and it's a teleport to go in. And don't get me wrong, it can be used like that. That's a creative way to use it. But that's not the design of Symmetra's kit. The design of it, actually I'll quickly go over here, is to reposition from 2 strategic defensive positions so that you can hold 2 choke points at once. So for example, this is a very common place to hold, is the staircase in this high ground here, but it's also very common to hold over there. So the point of her TP is to basically, if I can just line this up, hold here, and say all of a sudden there were heroes over there, boom, hold here. So she holds different chokes, and with her turrets as well, she controls that space. But she is definitely defensive. How you'll see pros use this, and honestly this is a good strat in and of itself, so I'm not dismissing the strat, but pros will do something like come to this buff, TP on point, and then the whole team will come through the point, putting immediate pressure on them, which is honestly fine. It's a good strat, but technically speaking, her turrets and her main weapon make her defensive, because you have to walk around the corner for the turrets to get value. Yeah, so that's the 7th skill. Symmetric. So beam, damage, a lot of touches, and it's attracting it. She's 50-50 because the projectiles actually starts out her attack, but that's just like Sojourn. Starts with projectile, leads into a railgun. So yes, the 7 hit scan, they counter the 3 dive heroes, Echo, Genji, and Pharah. 3 dive heroes, Echo, Genji, and Pharah, counter the 4 to 6 projectile heroes, because we've got 2 50-50 heroes, but they counter Hanzo, Junkrat, Mei, Torbjorn, and they also sort of soft counter Symmetra and soft counter Sojourn. Sojourn when she doesn't have a rail at the beginning of a push, and Symmetra at a range when she's firing projectiles also at the beginning of a push. So, yeah. And of course, the 4 to 6, because you know these two are 50-50s, projectile heroes, they counter the 3 rush heroes, Reaper, Sombra, and Tracer, and that's the cycle for DPS. So, let's just go over real quickly the beloved support heroes. So Anna, even though she has projectiles when she's not scoped in, her primary use is at a long range. She is a ranged hit scan. The projectiles is secondary. With Sleep Dart, the only CC support there is, and a nade, but she has no mobility. So she has no survivability with her mobility. She can get dove, she can get rush very easily. That's her biggest weakness. But yeah, that's the first ranged hit scan. Baptiste is a ranged hit scan for obvious reasons. His weapon is ranged. Alari is a ranged hit scan because her damage, I'm pretty certain it's instant contact. Yeah, it's definitely instant contact, and it does a lot of DPS. That's the third hit scan. Kiriko's projectile, Laffy's projectile. And that's it. That's it for the hit scans. Ana, Baptiste, and Alari. And these 3 heroes counter the dive supports, which is Lucio and Mercy. So Lucio is dive because he can wall ride up to height, and he can dive from height. So he can just like little Lucio, little Genji dive in and do his combo. Mercy is also dive, very difficult to hit, vertical maneuverability, and she has a projectile weapon, but because she has the mobility, but she needs a teammate to have mobility or her ult, but once she's mobile and flying in the air, she comes down with a projectile weapon from above them, difficult to hit, and finishes them off. So yes, those Ana, Bap, and Alari counter Lucio and Mercy. Lucio and Mercy counter the projectile supports, which is Kiriko, because she has a projectile, and firing up at Lucio's and Mercy's is very difficult. We have Lifeweaver, who's actually a projectile hero. He is similar to Ramatra. He loves to just spam damage down tunnelways along rush paths. This can get him to high ground, they can spam another tunnelway, or just use it to get away. And obviously his pull is defensive, everything about him is defensive. He has minimal mobility, just a little bit of verticality. And Zenyatta has even less mobility, but he does more damage with his balls. He does burst damage combo, which will finish off any 200, I guess it's 250 now, HP hero, and this sword just does a lot of damage. And each ball does like way more damage. But he has no mobility. He doesn't have a platform or a jump. All he has is a kick, so it keeps him away. Sort of like a replacement of Ana's Sleep Dart. Much worse replacement, let's say. So, Ana, Bap, Alari counter Lucio Mercy, and Lucio Mercy counters Kiriko, Lifeweaver, and Zenyatta. Kiriko, Lifeweaver, and Zenyatta counter Moira, because she only has she doesn't have vertical mobility. If you're very good at Moira, you can do stuff like that and get onto the high ground, but that's sort of like the same as a Tracer jumping up along the map to get to the high ground. They're still not, they're not flying. That's the most important thing. They don't fly. As they approach the high ground, they still remain horizontal with the ground that they walk on, as they walk to their enemies. So their head's easy to hit. So she's a rusher, and the projectile supports counter, because she can't dodge the projectiles, obviously. Same with Brig. Literally exactly the same. There are some spots with Brig where you can like bash into it, use the momentum jump to get some extra height, but that's just a high skill tech that's not a flight ability. Most of the time, 99% of the time, she's just walking forward, swinging her mace at head height. Really easy to hit the projectile. And there you have it. And Moira and Brig, obviously, they counter Ana, they counter Baptiste, and they counter Ilari. They just wanna rush them, they wanna close the distance, and her extra armor plus her shield, she just blocks their damage as she whittles them down over time. Same with Moira, except she uses her orb and her, what's it called when she... her orb and whatever that is. And then she just like, maybe damage orbs them or heal orbs them. And she does like a rush attack. And that does it for all of the, yeah, that does it for all of the orcs. So, let me get back to that. Now, today, I'm going to teach everyone why these counters counter each other and what makes it relevant to being countered, because people do not understand how counterplay works in this game. Saying something like what I've been saying sounds ridiculous in matchups, but this is a great map to describe what I mean when I say these heroes counter one another. So we'll begin with, I suppose, looking from the attacker's point of view. They have a series of options, right? Optional paths that they can choose to take. There are 2 vertical corner paths, or dive paths, that I like to call them. And there are, let me just count for a second, 1, 2, 3, 4 optional rush paths. So there are 4 different horizontal pathways they can choose to take to move towards the objective, and there are 2 vertical pathways they can choose to take to move towards the objective. When I go into more detail, I'll explain how we're actually playing the game wrong. We should be holding choke point from here. We should be holding spawn choke point on almost all maps. Not all maps, some maps it's not appropriate, but a map like Numbani, the defender tank should set up here. Maybe hit scan up there, projectile on this side and this side, hit scans on that high ground there. And you're meant to try to like hold the spawn and make them earn walking out of it. You're not meant to go straight to the side. I'll explain why real quick. If you walk out of your spawn door and you already have damage coming out from there, and from there, and from up there, because up there is connected to up there, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get to the point, and not only that, the defenders will gain ult charge if they don't get any elims, or if they get elims, they will slow them down a heap more. At the very least, what this will accomplish is it will force cooldowns. So, from a tank's perspective, if you're an Orisa or a Mauga and you want to get set, and they're shooting at you, and you lose half HP, you either have to stop and wait to be healed up, which grants them ult charge as you approach, or you use an ability like Charge, or your, self-heal ability to, like, once you come up here. And what this accomplishes is, if he's used this ability to claim this space here, all you have to do as the defending team is just back off through that path, or that path, or up there. That's all you have to do. You don't have to commit to it. So you should always try to hold spawn, but again, it can only work as a team if you're playing as a team, or if in solo queue you're playing as a hero that can survive doing it. So yeah. So what else should I mention? So Junkrat and Hunzo, right? I mentioned in my earlier videos how they got seriously nerfed. Junkrat can't 2-shot combo and Hunzo can't 1-shot combo. This removes every amount of ability to ambush that these heroes used to have. So there's two kinds of projectile heroes, right? There are projectile heroes that ambush from above, right? Above or above and behind, or just above basically, and then, or even just on flank, like from behind. And then there are projectile heroes that were designed to just spam. So I'm sure you've heard the common phrase of spamzo, where you spam, track, headshot. After the Season 9 changes, there's no such thing as an ambush anymore. Junkrat and Hunzo can only spam. They've basically ruined the heroes. So they've dumbed the game down for the player base that, doesn't actually appreciate the game and doesn't want to study it, just too lazy. They just want to play the game how they want to play it. Which is very unfortunate, because this game has so much potential, but the community's just ruining it. Their brains can't handle anything other than pushing behind a tank. That's the brutal truth of the matter. I don't really play much Junkrat. I find him fun, but honestly, I'm just not very good at him. And I can't play him without a pocket, because, I'm just not good enough at him. You have to learn his combos, you have to do a lot. But he's a super fun hero, just like Hunzo. They both have the same playstyle, but mentioning the spam, right? So Mei, Torbjorn, Symmetra, I suppose, even Sojourn to an extent, when she's getting a nail card. They all spam damage down to prevent them approaching. Not really Sojourn, but the rest of them do. And don't get me wrong, Junkrat does this as well. Hunzo can do it, but that was never his primary purpose. So what an ambush is just as it sounds. Like, in the old westerns, they would ambush the enemy cowboys at a canyon. Well, it's exactly the same with these two heroes. So Junkrat and Hunzo, they excel at being on high ground between two massive wall walkways where they can't dodge their shot. So Junkrat would just spam and then do his burst combo to get elims as rush heroes advance, and Hunzo would just peek over the corner and get a headshot. That's what they used to do before they got severe. Junkrat can still do it because he spams, but he can't catch them off guard with a peak burst combo. So basically they've ruined Junkrat and Hunzo because the player base actually hates defensive heroes. That's another thing. They don't like playing defensive heroes, they only like playing offensive heroes. Because they just want to get kills, they don't want to control space. Which is, unfortunate. But yeah, the game's been extremely dumbed down, and I'm shameless about to say. I've had people always complaining about the way I play the game when I know I'm playing it the right way. It's so annoying. Like, especially when I play a hero like Winston, they like lose their minds if I, or Reinhardt even. If I play Winston or Reinhardt, they lose their minds because I take the vertical corners and then I flank because they're very good at flanking. You know, applying damage from a range and then closing the distance, which is what they're designed to do. Players in this game, their little brains, and like, yes, I'm insulting every Overwatch player in the world, their little brains can only handle walking here as an Orisa or a Mauga, or working there as an Orisa or a Mauga, walking forward, right? And then contesting the point and damaging them with 2 supports up their butthole. Their brains cannot comprehend any form of strategy, like at all. And the worst part is defenders don't know how to defend against an Orisa or a Mauga doing this because people don't like playing projectile heroes. Projectile heroes is how you stop a Mauga, it's how you stop an Orisa. They do so much damage per second when the projectiles hit that the Orisa or the Mauga can't take the space. That's like the whole point. But since heroes like Soldier are so popular, Sojourn, McCree, Ashe, Widow, those heroes are fine, don't get me wrong, but they do low damage per second, so they can't prevent a rush. And here's the thing, that's not the game's fault that people can't deal with an Mauga or an Orisa, that's the player's fault. If you just knew how the game worked and selected Torbjorn, you could pelt headshots into them as they approach, and once they close the distance, you could switch to your shotgun and your overdrive and pelt them with 9 shotguns to the head. It doesn't matter if there's a support behind them, they will just get burst down. But again, you know, the player base doesn't want to play Torbjorn. They don't want to play Hanzo, they don't want to play Junkrat, they just want to see those heroes nerfed or removed from the game entirely. Which is just, you know, stupid. Like, it's actually dumb. Like, people don't like the game. Like I said, they just like playing hit-scan heroes like Call of Duty and Valorant, and they like people doing what they tell them to do, even though they don't know what the heck they're talking about. And yeah, it's just dumb, dude. It's really just dumb. There are a few issues with hit scan and projectile heroes, which the community won't say are issues. Only people who understand what the game's supposed to be like will say it's issues. But hit scan do too much damage, and there's no drawback for having hit scan. The drawback is supposed to be they do less damage per second. But now, hit scan do as much damage, if not more, per second. So they've literally just ruined the game, basically. They've just made it a different version of Call of Duty, because, you know, that's all player bases brains can handle, like I've said in this time. In any case, I just want to teach you how the game is supposed to be played, was supposed to be played, so you guys can literally stop being stupid and learn. In any case, let me explain what a choke point actually is for everyone. Now, a choke point is misunderstood as well. A lot of things are misunderstood. So some people, and this does work, believe you're supposed to hold a choke point. And don't get me wrong, if you select a team composition which excels at holding a choke point, you most certainly should be holding a choke point. But some choke points, especially on these kind of maps, are used as LOS, they're LOS choke points, so they can see you as you approach, and they'll see the decision you make as you approach. That's the point of looking at a choke point. You want to see what heroes they've selected, and you want to see where they're going with the heroes they've selected. That is the point of holding a choke. So on Numbani, we have 2 major choke points before you reach the objective. The first choke point is right here, the spawn choke, and they're one after the other. This is what it's basically a bus choke. They can only go this way, they can only go this way, or they can go above. It is a choke point where you can see every direction they choose. The second choke point is actually here where I'm standing, is the top path. This main path here, and where my track is, that's the second choke point. And that's the important one for this map. So this bus, I guess you could interpret as part of it. So go over the 2 vertical paths. So there's 2 vertical paths that dive heroes can take, and one is this corner. From that corner to this corner to this high ground. That is or from the floor, if you want to go here, from the floor to that high ground. That's the right side aerial direction that a Farah could choose, or an Echo. And then there's a left side choke, well, not really a choke, option, left side path, vertical path. You can take this way, and this corner here, as well as all this high ground here. You can like dive from up here, go up there, and shoot. So that's the 2 vertical paths, and then there's 4 horizontal. One this way, one that way, one that way, and one down main. Could say like under here, but this is part of the main, basically. So when defending a map like Numbani, there's a very specific way that you're supposed to defend it. And I will start with how dive heroes defend, and then I'll move on to how hit scan defends. Oh, sorry, hit scan defends, and then I'll move on to how projectiles defend. So, hit scans defend from this high ground here. This is like actually a non-negotiable. This is where any hero like McCree, Soldier, Widow, any Ashe, Symmetra, I guess, not really Symmetra, but technically speaking Symmetra as well. This is where they start. And what you want to do is, firstly, you want to see, is anyone going from that doorway as a Farah, Echo, or Genji? Is there a Farah, Echo, or Genji going down main and going up coastway, or is there a Farah, Echo, and Genji going down main and challenging these corners and where you're at? So immediately, if you spot Farah, Echo, Genji, Winston, Diva, Hammond, or Doomfist, you should immediately begin shooting at them. You start with shooting at the tank, and then as soon as you see the DPS, you switch your target to the damage dealer. Because theoretically your tank will be with you, or if you don't have a tank, you will just retreat. And the reason you do that is because you are trying to deny these dive damage dealers and tanks, you're trying to deny them space from there to this corner here, right? You don't want them to get access to this corner here, you don't want them to have access to the corner you're on top of, and you don't want them to get access to underneath or at the car down low. You don't want them to just walk up like that, or walk underneath you to here. Because there's a simple reason, basically. What they will be attempting to do if they're going this direction is they will be attempting to either attack you up here, which means they will climb that wall dash towards you here to try to force you off the high ground or away from this corner. This is a big corner here. So you don't want them to do that. You don't want them to claim this corner here, and more importantly than your own position that you don't want them to claim, you don't want them to go from down there or from that corner or from down there, from down here to... oh shit, 1 second. You don't want them at any cost to dive this area here. Because they will be diving that area there, because that is the area where your friendly defensive projectiles will be spamming. Maybe a tank, maybe a Torbjorn, maybe your May, maybe a Junkrat, and maybe even your Hanzo. You don't want them to get there, because if they manage to get there, your Torbjorn, your May, your Hanzo cannot defend itself from a Pharmacy or an Echo Mercy or a Genji Lucio dive. They will just get absolutely destroyed, and they won't be able to fire back at them, because as they're coming from above, they're vertically changing and they can't headshot them. So another area that is like, yeah, say I'm here, shooting down here, trying to hold this area here. If a Pharah, Echo, or a Genji flanks from up there, they can just burst combo, destroy me, and if I try to shoot back, I'll just miss. So that's the idea behind that. That's the aerial dive down main. So this area here, or this area here, this is the area they'll be diving from main. From coast, that corner is another option they have to dive from. See that corner there? They have the option to dive from that corner to everything in the light, basically. Yeah, I guess that's sort of how it works, is from that corner they can only dive this area here and this area, but around the corner you're safe. So if you're holding from here and you see yourself hitting dough, you can just like back up this way, which will, you know, save you some time. But other than that, from the coast they can also dive this staircase. Pharah can concussive blast the staircase, and any projectile heroes here, like a Junk spamming down low, for example, can get dough from the coast mainly, but also down main. But the most important area for projectile heroes, they even have it marked out of every map. See how there's a slight elevation here before you get to the staircase, and then the top of this staircase here? This area here is the base of the staircase, the only staircase they can use to get access to this high ground here. And it's the only staircase they can use other than the staircase down that direction, which gives you plenty of time to react to it and switch your defense to spamming down here, which is the only direction that they'll be going. So, yeah, so spam heroes, Hanzo, Junkrat. Hanzo shouldn't be one, but he is now, so whatever. Will be doing that. And they can't defend themselves from dive heroes who are up in the air diving them. This is the most important area for a projectile hero, as it stops the main... This is the quickest path to our space we want to control, and it's also the quickest path to the objective. So it's very important that if you're a projectile hero, you're holding this path, that you're damaging any Orisa, any Malia, any Junker Queen, any Tracer, that you're just pressuring them out of there. If they realise there's too much pressure down there and they can't advance, they have options to switch their paths. So they might go up here, they might go down main, and they might go down the coastal path. And I suppose I should mention the fifth path, which is flanking down main. So going down main and flanking around here, because that is another option. So in that case, you'd just switch here and, you know, stop them from getting the space they want. I think here is honestly the most optimal place to hold. You can see that door, you can see that door, move up here, you can see the coast. Move down here, you can see the main path. And move left and you can control that flank. So this area here, a very important area to control in the map. I just call it the staircase basically. It is also right next to a drop, so you gotta be careful of Reinhardt's, Hemmon's, Doomfist, even Divas pushing you off the map. So tread carefully if you're holding here. Make sure you if you see them coming, you quickly duck here so you can't get pushed off. Also important. So yes, projectile heroes, their space is here, all here, the staircase here, middle of the staircase, and the base of the staircase. Looking down here, looking coast, looking bottom. So up the staircase, and you've got top, coast, and flank. So you can see the main as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the projectile heroes. One last thing, if a Mauga, Orisa, or a Queen manages to go at an angle you didn't expect, and they force you from damage, right, and poison resistance, and they force you to retreat because you're low on health, right, you have two options for retreating. You can retreat this way, and you can continue spamming while repositioning this way, right, and then rotate back around to the objective. That is one option. Or your only other option, which I would recommend if they chose the bottom path, because if they chose the bottom path, this would be most likely their goal, is to, if they force you from here back with an Orisa twirl or whatever, just retreat back here and spam from the payload. Because if you do this, yes, you're susceptible to dive heroes coming for you, but you're contesting the point, and for them they won't get capture progress until they kill you. So they'll either rush you on the point, where you make your final stand here I mean, and then hop around the payload as cover. Or the other decision that they could make is to rotate when you retreat to this objective, and they've taken the space there, they've claimed that space there, that important space, they may decide to just let you have it, ignore you, and walk up here. If they walk up here while you're on the objective, they're trying to force the DPS, the hit scan off the high ground. So any Annas here, any Baptistes, any Roadhog, Zayas, they're going to come around here and they're going to forcibly push them off the high ground. There's nothing you can really do if you gave up, if you made a last stand on the objective, unless you have verticality. So I guess with Junkrat, if you see them do this and you're on Junkrat, your immediate response should be to go up here, do a concussion blast, and blast them. But if you're playing Mei or Torbjorn, you can't go up there as Mei or Torbjorn. So if you see them go up and around, all you can do is chase after them, and spam them from behind as you chase after them. And hopefully you'll be able to do enough damage between you there and the hit scan here to get a kill. As a hit scan hero, if you notice the enemy rush that staircase and come around here, your immediate response should be to, honestly, if there's other dive heroes like a Pharah or a Genji, your immediate response should be to not either... You have two options. Face them, even though you do shit all damage, which is probably not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend it, because you're a ranged hero. Or back off while damaging them, damaging the dive DPS, whoever they are, and as they approach, just damage them from a range. If eventually they get you, just drop. Just give up the high ground and drop. Either rotate back around here, or so you can either do this, rotate around here, and you'll see them doing whatever they're doing, or you have another option, which is the moment you see them, back off and run this direction. Immediately retreat and make a decision to either go to the point, which, could work, or to go here, see if anyone's here, see if there's any dive heroes here, dive heroes there, and shoot them. But the moment they get to you, the most important thing is that you make a decision and you rotate, or you try to finish them off if they're lost. You have to make a decision. You can't try to just hold them from here, because the Mauga will just charge you and burst you down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, really. Unless maybe you're a Bastion, you might have a chance. But again, it depends if it's a tank, it depends if it's could be a Tracer, like it all depends on what the matchup is. But in general, you want to just give up the space, they've earned it, and rotate. And look for another opportunity. If you're trying to defend the hit scan here, and you notice the rush tanks are on the objective, and your friendly projectile heroes are making a final stand on the point, you should immediately switch your attention from them and shoot the rush heroes who are on the objective, because basically you can shoot them and they can't shoot you. And that's the advantage of hit scan and high ground. So obviously you want to switch your attention, help your projectile teammates out, and then once you're done helping them, switch back to the dive heroes trying to dive. And yeah, sometimes you won't have a choice, sometimes you're going to have to face the dive heroes, and if you ever win against the dive heroes, obviously straight away switch to the rush heroes. But if the dive heroes, just aren't skilled, or they're damaged and just healing up and they're playing passively, or they've gone coast way, just switch straight to the projectile, supporting your projectile lineup. So yeah, that's how you want to defend, basically. Yeah. So the most important lesson out of all of this is make sure you're picking fights with the heroes that you have an advantage over. Don't pick fights with the heroes that counter you. Only fight them when you have no other option, because they forced you to fight them. Never voluntarily. Say as a Junkrat, you should never be here trying to shoot a Pharah out of the sky. It is nothing more than a waste of your uptime damage. You're providing no value. If you instead were shooting down here at a Tracer, immediately your value, your team, is so much higher, because you can actually take away the space they're trying to grab. I'm just gonna kill myself, switch heroes. And this is what I mean when I say horizontal corners and vertical corners. All I actually mean, sometimes the corners are in the same direction, but what I mean when I say it is a corner that a hero is using who has verticality. So if I'm up here as a Lucio, this corner becomes a vertical corner because I'm attacking from, you know, a height. Technically this is a vertical corner. Technically this banner is a vertical corner. Because they die while being hard to hit. This is why the game's so dumbed down. They basically just removed ambush from the game, which I think's cool. Junkrat and Hanzo are super easy to counter. All you have to do is play Pharah, or play Echo, or play Genji. It's not that hard. They didn't need to nerf them like that. Mei and Torbjorn needed a nerf, Ashe needed a nerf, and Torbjorn sort of needed a nerf, don't get me wrong. But not really Torbjorn to be honest, but Hanzo and Junkrat, they just got, my god, they just got nerfed to oblivion. So I've been mentioning this corner a lot, but here's a question. What do you do if they don't choose to dive this way? So what do you do if they choose to dive this way? What do you do if they choose to drop in like that from this side? Well, if you're a hit scan hero, right, how you prevent that dive is firstly you scout. Once you've determined that they've made the decision to go in that direction, you should automatically be rotating along here to match them once you see them come around that corner. If you're a widow or a soldier or whatever. And you do have the option to also either run around here and really push them out, or literally just the simplest option, if you see them flank like that, is you can hold here and snipe them because it is quite a distance back there with a widow or whatever, or you can literally just, you know, just run over here and shoot at them from below while climbing the staircase and shoot. It's slightly quicker to run across than it is to walk around there, but you run the risk of having no cover as you're running across it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. They're the two vertical corner dives, but there is still low dives that you always have to watch out for. So a low dive is a dive that comes from the low ground to the high ground in very quick succession. So you always have to be weary of them just walking from there to there and then wall climbing up, or Pharah boosting up, or Echo boosting up. Because if you're here, holding here, and they come straight at you from beneath and then use their movement ability to come up, I can guarantee that you will really struggle at this close range as their body is moving left and right above you, because it's one of the three types of dives basically, and it's very hard to react to. You have no, it's about reaction time, so it won't even matter if you have a hit scan weapon or a projectile weapon, because you're close enough to hit them. It's more so the fact that they're just going over your body quickly, so your aim has to adjust quickly to hit them, which is giving you a disadvantage. As a defensive hero, you always want the range of the engagement to be long range. You never want it to be close range, because that's not to your advantage. So if they did that, you would immediately retreat while damaging, and then retreat while damaging, and you want to kill them or seriously injure them so they're one shot before they even try to break the distance to you. That's your goal. So yeah, that's your goal basically. Again, if they go coastal way, you come back and you match them. If they go down main for a floor dive, you just keep hitting them from up here where you can headshot them and they can't. If you see them walking towards you, once they get like close to you,
but on the low ground, you back off. Because if they're getting close to you on the low ground, they're preparing to dive you. And you need to be prepared for it. So you back off, keep shooting at them from back here, and keep a range. That's the same for projectile and hit scan. Both of you want to keep a long range at all times, because all those heroes do not do effective damage at a long range, and you do. So that's pretty much the idea. Again, a lot of this will matter a lot less because they keep just changing the game. The game's in its worst spot it's ever been in. The only people who think it's in a good spot are the people who aren't good enough at the game to hit headshots because of the hitbox increase, and basically the people that don't know how to dodge a Hunter or Junkrat who are controlling the corner. That's pretty much the only people who like this update, which there are a surprising amount. Usually it will be Tracer mains, you know, Moira mains, people like that who love the update, because anyone who's a defensive hero basically just got a massive buff. They just nerfed the defensive heroes. It's pretty much all they really did. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. I suppose I could talk to you about corner rotations and how corner rotations work. While I'm at it, I mean, we are basically talking about that anyway. Let me just quickly go over what your goal as a team should be. In old Overwatch, when it was 6v6. So currently it's 5v5 because they tried to solve the double shield crisis with that. Yeah, Blizzard listens to the Overwatch community in top 500, but I think they listen to them a little bit too much. I think they should keep trying to make the game the way they originally intended to make the game and just ignore the complaints, because their complaints come from just basically their inadaptability and changing. They don't want to change the way they play, and that's why they complain. And quite frankly, you know, I think it's just, it doesn't matter if they don't like it. These guys are still addicted to the game. Like, they obviously love the game. And their complaints are usually just about their mains, and they want their mains to be powerful. But, you know, if you make someone's main powerful, you're going to make another one's main weak. So you can't please everyone. The best you can do is ignore them and make the counterplay super smooth. You want the counterplay to be very balanced. And you want there to be counterplay as well. And honestly, whatever they think about it, it genuinely just doesn't matter. Like, it actually doesn't matter. And that's my thoughts on it. So, back to it. You want to hold here at this staircase. As a projectile hero, at all costs, you want to deny them access to this staircase. If they take that staircase there, right, this one here, that's okay. They can have access to this one. It's very easy for them to get access to this one. They literally just walk here, and they've already got it. The only time they wouldn't have access to this is if you were trying to control that choke there, or this big wide choke here. So a lot of the time people just peek. Like, they'll peek here, they'll just shoot at them a bit, but they won't commit to. And honestly, if you're playing heroes like Junkrat, you could commit to this choke point right here and completely stop them right here. But yeah, honestly, most of the time you won't be doing that. So projectile heroes, like let's say 3 who synergize: Ramatra, Mei, and Life Weaver, right? The Ramatra and the Mei and the Life Weaver would spam down here as they approach. They would spam down there, and most importantly, the Ramatra would be matching wherever the tank goes to, and the Mei would be matching wherever the tank goes to as well, but also watching the flanks. It's super important that you have a line of sight on every optional path that they might take. So the Ramatra would probably start up here, right? Because you've got to be ready for stopping that push and stopping that, and I guess this one as well. And if they decided to flank underneath, I would say the Life Weaver should be looking out for it, and also the Mei, in my opinion. The Life Weaver and the Mei should be here, and the tank, be him Ramatra or be him Sigma, should be here, looking down main, looking up top, and if he wants, looking at coastal flank. But mainly down main and up top. He should be around this area here. Tanks are always tanks are always forward. So this is a forward position for the tank to hold. You might be, oh, there's a tank coming, so you'll hold here. Or, oops, tank's going low, he drops down here. Or, of course, oh, they're flanking. Why can't I climb this? Ooh. Or maybe, he doesn't see them going either of those directions, so he goes down here, sees the tank. Oh, tank's there, he drops down here. Either way, the Mei and the Life Weaver, because theoretically everyone has a headset, everyone has a mic, should be watching the flank, and the moment they see them come round that flank there, it needs to be immediately called out, because that's a main rush. If a main rush happens, the Ramatra who's here would automatically run back this way, drop here, and then try to stop it. The Mei should automatically be spamming down there anyway, and occasionally checking coastline. So the Mei would be on it straight away, the Life Weaver should be on it straight away, spamming down and stopping their advancement. It's only the tank who holds a more forward position that would have to, reposition here. But it doesn't take long for him to reposition, that's the whole point. Maybe here would be a good place to hold as a tank. You can look there, look that way, and then come around here, look that way. So maybe from here to here would be good. I know I hold there as Roadhog because the hooks are a nice range that way. I can look that way. As long as your support and DPS are looking down that way and looking down that way, and maybe even one looking down this way. So yeah, and whatever paths they choose, because you got to remember, they might not all choose the same path. Orisa might go down here, or Amalgam might go down here, and then a Tracer might go up. So if they see an Orisa down here, say an Orisa and a Moira, immediately you should be spamming in there, and the tank should be dropping for that as well. But say they see the Orisa and Moira down there, but then the Mei checks right side and she sees a Tracer over there. Whose job is it to deal with the Tracer? Well, it's the DPS's job. It's not actually the tank's job. Obviously this can change, but it's the tank's job to stop the rush tank getting space. They want to plop themselves here as a Sigma, plop themselves here as a Ramatra, and body block any damage. They just want to rock them, damage them, and not let them get any space at all. If a Trace is flanking, Mei wants to wall off Theorissa from her support, and then once she's done, maybe